there were stretches there in the second quarter, third quarter, where maybe you guys didn't play your cleanest ball. I guess, what do you think of the way your team kind of handled that and still was able to come out with a big win?
Well, they're really explosive. You know, I think they're really explosive. First of all, they'll tempo you. Second of all, the running back's good. Third of all, they have a few good receivers, and you can sort out what their names are. And then the quarterback, I think the quarterback's really good. Kind of a stud. You know, like, well, he's really fast. He's a guy that can get all of it if you don't keep a lid on him, and then he keeps it alive back there long enough that your coverage breaks down. And maybe not perfectly accurate, but he can throw it forever. So I thought that guy played really well, and I think he also gave, you know, opened up other things. The run, not just his, but other people's runs, and then also the passing game. And you know, he really is. He might be the fastest quarterback in the conference. I don't know. You know, so good for him. He's kind of hard to tackle. I thought we could have got to him a little more. We did some good things, so.
Coach, for the second straight week, no sacks for your offensive line, but this time it was against the team that leads the conference in sacks. You know, what did they do well, and what can you say about their performance?
I thought we blocked pretty well. I thought we were pretty good up front, got a lot of yards on the ground, and that's kind of, you know, what they gave us to a certain extent. And then, you know, but we did throw it and did run it well, and I do think that's more of a credit to our offensive line. And then, you know, I thought Will did a good job managing the game, and so we did have a consistency that I liked pretty well. We stubbed our toe a few times and didn't finish a couple drives, but generally speaking, we were consistent. And I do think the more consistent team won this game.
Coach, your team this year, and most of the time, every time an opposing team has made a run, your guys have responded to regain momentum. Is that more of a consistency thing or experience thing that you're seeing this year?
Probably both. We played together a little longer, so I think that's helped. And then also, you know, we've practiced well, and you know, I think they've, you know, a lot of those guys have played together at least a little bit, and so I think that's helped. And I think that, you know, now there's some kind of older guys that some of the younger guys can learn it from. I keep getting ready to say we're an older team because it feels like that, because, you know, some of these guys started as freshmen, and I still have nightmares thinking what that looked like. You know, well, now they're a lot older, so they're redshirt sophomores. So, you know, heck, yeah, don't get tired of them. A bunch of these guys are going to be here forever.
Robbie?
Coach, your running backs touched the ball 46 times, almost 300 yards. Had your best day running the football since you've been here. How much has that part of the game evolved, you think, over the last 3 years, especially with Dylan and Woody?
Well, I think we got a couple. I actually think we have three really good running backs, and then and you want them to touch the ball. You know, it kind of you could look at it this way: you had Dylan on the ground and Woody through the air, and they both had a bunch of yards. Like if you add up, and you look like a guy that's really good in math and things. I mean, because that's why everybody goes into journalism, because they love math. And to be perfectly honest, I hated math, so I actually thought about journalism for that particular reason. But you know, those backs, the backs had, I think, might have had as many yards as the rest of the team combined. I don't think quite, but it's probably kind of close. Maybe they did, and Brandon will tell you he's really good at math. And so then, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, those guys are kind of the warriors back there. You want them to have the ball, and not only that, just for good measure, you're going to ask them to block also. So I thought they had a good game. I thought that our offensive line getting kind of more consistent and blocking on the second level better, I think is key. And then I think that just sort of the timing of everybody working together, where it kind of tucks in more of the corners, I guess. I don't really know how to describe it, but, we just go smoother and quicker and, less of that my bad crap. I don't know who invented my bad, but, just because you have a my bad doesn't mean you're supposed to get away with it the way I look at it. But anyway, go ahead.
Joe? Coach, here in the back, just talk about your defense today, just giving up 7 points in the second half. It seems like, again, momentum changing plays as well, and just being able to stymie the Razorbacks attack pretty much for most of the day.
Well, the one thing I thought they did a good job, because we did let the Razorbacks move the ball. Let's not a good word. I mean, the Razorbacks flat out decided they were going to move the ball, and they did. Okay, but the one thing, we kept playing every play, kept battling every play, made them execute as many plays as we possibly could, and then and in some cases broke them. In some cases got the ball back, like that stuff. Somebody gets a long play, well, we're going to tackle them anyway. We're going to go ahead and tackle them anyway, and make them earn every bit of it. And they might not get it, and they definitely didn't on one, maybe both. I can't remember, but
yeah. When you have those 3 turnovers on downs in your own territory, 2 inside the 10-yard line, what does that do for the team and the offense, and just getting the momentum back on your side?
Well, just what you said. It is a turnover, and it is a turnover with. I guess the understanding that the other guy selects the field position. But I think that, I think it was good. We were tough on 4th down, and it was key to be tough. And it was also key to be ahead, so that in some cases they had to go for it on 4th down when maybe they didn't want to.
Coach, talking to the SEC network quarterbacks yesterday, they said one of Will's great strengths is he just doesn't give up plays. He keeps looking downfield and doesn't drop his eyes. Was that what made those 2 scramble touchdowns possible?
I think so. One of them I thought he could have thrown earlier, and but if you're late on it, you don't want to force the thing, and so he's pretty good about not forcing things, which is a good quality. And then the other one, they had it pretty well covered, and even now, I don't know how he threaded it into to Austin there. There's not a lot of guys or receivers or quarterbacks that have a lot of completion receptions that look quite like that. I mean, Brett Favre might have a couple, but not a lot. I mean, because he fit that in a very impressive fashion. I don't know how well you saw it, but that's one play I did see extremely well, and it really was quite impressive.
Coach, today during the game, Will Rogers set the SEC career completion record. How impressive has it been to watch him rewrite all these records at this point in his career?
It was good. It was good. If he threw for 6 more yards, he would have set the 400 yards a game record. I think he might already have it, though. But if he does, he might as well try to get it again. But I don't know, 6 yards. One of those guys, Brandon will check everybody's homework, and hopefully they're off by 6 yards. We'll see.
Hey, Coach. Emmanuel Forts, he had an interception today, had 2 last week. What's it like to know, from a coaching standpoint, how important is that for you to have that guy who seems to always be there right when you need him to be, to always, pick it off from the other team?
It's critical. I mean, he's explosive, really quick first step, which I think is key. The other thing, he's a longer target than you think. He's got more range to him than you think. And the other thing, if you do kind of a highlight film of some of them that he's caught, even going through practice, I mean, some of them are quite remarkable catches. He can catch some balls that other people can't catch, especially at that position.
Mike, you were just talking about the records that Will had. I think he still leads the nation in passing touchdowns. You said at media days in the summer that he belonged in the Heisman conversation. Do you think he's backed that up and still belongs in that conversation now approaching the midway point of the season?
I don't think there's any question whatsoever. And, I'm extremely curious who somebody thinks is ahead of him. And, and typically what it is, and there's a lot of this going on nowadays, somebody just selects the biggest team that they can think of, and, the ones that they think, might go to the playoffs or be good down the stretch, or the ones that are closest to big media bases. And then some of them will just randomly stick a guy on a list who hadn't even done anything. And that happens all the time, so you can think about the absurdity of that, and that'd certainly give you a good article to write.
Back. Coach in the back here, good to see you again, David Edelstein from JTV, CBS in Jackson. As you've talked about kind of watching your team just grow together, get older together, and perform better over these years, what are you feeling as a coach on the sideline that's just most impressed you, or that you feel like you're worrying less about coaching these guys during a game because they're just more capable together?
Yeah, we're less erratic. We're just less erratic. We're not, you're not begging some guy to, to be up and bring energy. We used to kind of be on a roller coaster all the time. Something bad would happen, you'd have to coax everybody to be happy. Something good would happen, you'd have to refocus them in. We've got a more steady nature to us, which I think has definitely helped. Some of that has to do with some of the leadership we have with players on our team, which I think has been helpful. And then, you have a bad series, they'll come back swinging, and then you have a good series, and you know that your chances are pretty good to have another high-effort series, although you do kind of try to keep an eye on all those things. And then I think as a result, all three sides of the ball in a lot of cases have complemented one another.
Joel?
Along those same lines, Coach, the last 3 weeks you guys have been, pretty complete in a lot of areas of football. And just how proud are you of the response that you guys have had the last 3 weeks? Coming out of Baton Rouge was obviously a disappointment, but the response that you guys have had here at home over this 3-game stretch.
Well, I think it's been great. Being here at home is outstanding. Can you imagine, if the game started right now, can you imagine what the energy in that stadium would be like? 11 o'clock game, that's a pretty sweet deal for the opponent as far as the energy in a stadium, But no, I think our fans have been fantastic. I think that they create a great atmosphere and a great high energy, winning, supportive atmosphere, and those late afternoon, early evening games are really special because then they, just let it rip with full bore. So
Close it out with Steve.
Coach, you kind of made headlines years ago with those huge offensive linemen. People kind of likened it to Space Invaders. But this group that you have, maybe not the prototypical air raid Mike Leach offensive line. Maybe what does it say about those guys who are maybe a little bit undersized and how well they're playing for you right now?
Well, I think they're doing a good job, and we have a little better feet than some of the O-lines that I've had. But and I've always been one that likes getting as big as possible, because when you really get good, you can marinate them in the weight room for a year or two, and then you get the feet right from there. But I have always liked big, though, and it's funny. I remember growing up, two really good teams. You had the Pittsburgh Steelers, and their offensive line was always small. When I was at Kentucky, I had the opportunity to meet Dermontti Dawson, and then also I met Mike Webster one time. That was amazing. But they always had small, really good feet, really active guys. And then you had the Oakland Raiders, and they just had monsters. Just big people. And it was a long ways just to even run around them, So no, I'm a big O-line guy, and I make sure everybody in that room knows O-line's the most important position. but they better carry that responsibility like that too.